Welcome, everyone. My name is Kayla, and I am an assistive technology specialist here at the Pacer Center. Today, we are going to be talking about back to school stress, where I will discuss and share and demo some tools and apps to minimize school stress. Just a little bit about Pacer. Pacer has programs for children and adults with all types of disabilities, as well as their parents, families, and professionals that work with them. So you might be a parent, you might be here for yourself, or you might be a teacher or a professional who works with kids in schools who might be looking for some resources. Some programs that we have our National Bullying Prevention Center, which is currently advocating for this month, October, is the National Bullying Prevention Month. So they've been doing a lot of work there. October 19th is their day of unity. We also have children's mental health and parent advocates, among many other programs. I work in the Simon Technology Center, where we work every day to make the benefits of technology more accessible to children and adults and older populations. So across the whole lifespan, we do information and referral. We have a large lending library where you can find items that you might want to try out to see if they are useful for your day-to-day life, or if they might be for school. And you can test them out before you make that big purchase, because sometimes assistive tech can cost quite a bit of money. So some of the items actually on that handout that Paul has shared in chat will have a notation on whether or not that item is available in the lending library. Another thing we do that's really popular is our free consultations. And so you would fill out an application, and then that application would get assigned to one of the assistive technology specialists, which I am one. And then if I were to have gotten assigned, I would reach out, and then you get a nice little consult to talk about your needs around AT. We also do individualized trainings, which is a more in-depth training on a specific item. So today's agenda regarding back to school stress, we're going to talk briefly about strategies. There will be a few links to tips and strategies to kind of help minimize stress in the handout. We're going to review some low tech options. We're also going to look at apps and then devices and wearables. If you scan that QR code with your phone, that QR code will send you to the PowerPoint for today. So that will be a PDF version of our PowerPoint. We also have the supplemental handout, which Paul has shared. There's a link here that'll take you directly to it, but you can also use the QR code, have it pulled up on your phone. All right. So in terms of strategies for helping minimize stress in the school, and as a child or a teenager goes to school, you're going to want to consider having a schedule or routine, encouraging a sleep hygiene routine, because sleep is important. And when we lack adequate sleep, our ability to regulate our mood and deal with big stressors drastically decreases the less sleep we have. Offering to listen to their worries and hearing about their day, and helping them identify what those worries and feelings might be and where they might be coming from. Scheduling fun interactions with friends so that they have something to look forward to. Positive conversations around school is another one that can be really helpful. And then visual supports. So that might be, planners, or just visual supports and cues, maybe in home or at school, that students can refer to. Okay, so some low tech options today. I am going to swap cameras so that you can see kind of what we're working with. And then I'll just kind of briefly go over some of those. Here, you can see that okay. So you can kind of see here, we've got some fidgets. So this guy is just kind of is a fidget that you can, it just kind of sits like this and then it moves around and they can play with it throughout the day. So fidgets are a really great way to just easily have things on hand for day-to-day stress in the schools. As a student might be sitting in the classroom and something might frustrate them, or they might be getting fidgety, or they're having difficulty focusing. All of those things can increase stress levels in terms of increasing feelings around not focusing in school, which then we can sometimes have negative thoughts about ourselves if we're not focusing. And so fidgets, things to have to kind of just help us stay in our seats or help us minimize how much extra energy we're kind of putting out, can be really helpful in that. The zones of regulation, the zones of regulation are right here in this rectangle. You'll see it reads the blue zone, green zone, yellow zone, red zone. Those are to represent, the feelings that, feeling areas. So the blue zone represents more low energy feelings, and it can be a great way to help us identify and help students identify where they're kind of at. So then parents, teachers, even themselves are able to then say, oh, I'm in the green zone today. I'm feeling focused. I'm feeling calm. Or maybe they're in the red zone and they're feeling, they're angry. Maybe they're angry about a test not going the way they wanted. But then they'd be able to communicate that. And people, everyone, teachers, parents would know that maybe some extra support is needed. Box breathing is another low-tech option to help us minimize stress, de-stress in the moment. It's down here. It's the one that has the 4 seconds. There is a handout as well of just that with this image on it. So it makes a box. And so how it works is you breathe in for 4 seconds and then you hold the air in your lungs for 4 seconds and then you exhale out, holding on the exhale for 4, and then you breathe and hold. You kind of keep doing that until you feel like you don't need to do it anymore. Sometimes it can be helpful when you're doing it, and when you're doing it with a group of students of any age, it can be helpful to actually do a line. And so you would do the 4 and then 4, and then you make the box, and then that's helpful for students to follow along. Another option is the sun lamp, and that's the image down here. This is an example of a sun lamp. We don't have any sun lamps or happy lamps. They're also known as happy lamps. We don't have any of those in the office to display, but those also help with mood and improving mood and helping us minimize stress. You can spend amount of time in front of them. It's usually an hour to 2 hours every day next to them, and it emulates sunlight. So now with the darker months coming, that can be really helpful to help with our mood and kind of help us manage it, so that we're doing so that we can manage it at school.
Kayla, we have a question that I couldn't find the answer to.
Yeah.
Those fidgets, the ring-shaped ones. What are those?
Yes.
Are those monkey rings? What are those called?
That's a great question. I found them in the lab, and no one had an answer for me, but I can get an answer.
Can I see them up close again?
Yep. This might be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's really actually quite fun.
Let's see. spinning swingo fiddle. I'm going to put that in the chat for anybody.
All right, great. Regarding the fidgets, one thing I was going to add, and then I got distracted by trying to figure out the tech on our side so that we could go live and stuff. You can also make Lego infinity cubes. And so in the follow-up email, I'll add that in the handouts, instructions on how to do that. So that's a fun activity that the students could participate in. And then you just make infinity cubes, so then they basically are like little fidget cubes, just made out of Legos. And then you can kind of spin them so you can, in a similar fashion to the circles, move them around. And they're really quite nice. So a couple more low tech options. You could set up a journaling practice. This would help students, teachers, yourself get out any extra frustrations or any worries. You put them out on paper. You can start a journaling practice that way. There are many journal options you can find. There are options to that will have pre-made pages that are like, what are your goals, and what are your goals for the year? And so helping with that, there's journal books that use prompts even. So that's another option. Planners, we can minimize our stress and our worry with planners just by having and knowing what we need to do. It allows us to structure our homework or structure our events and where we need to be and appointments. And there are a variety of planners as well. One of them that's pretty popular is the bullet planner. And I linked that in the handout as well, where it helps you break down your school day based on what you have going on, and then you prioritize based on what's due, and then how much work do I need to put into each area. The last thing I wanted to talk about a little bit, and it's included in the handout, there's a link, is progressive muscle relaxation. Progressive muscle relaxation would be a really great in the moment option if you or your students or that you're working in, students you're working with or kids you're working with are experiencing increased stress, increased frustrations. Progressive muscle relaxation can be really helpful because in the moment you can engage in the activity as a group, or if it's just yourself, and then you basically start with one body part, and then you go through all of the body parts, kind of like clenching them and then unclenching them, and then breathing through it. The activity I linked to is from the University of Michigan, and they go through every step and they break it down pretty well with the instructions, and then which muscle, which body part you're supposed to be tensing, and it can really help to get extra discharge, like energy discharge out, and extra stress, because we hold stress in our bodies, and when we can build a practice of recognizing that and then turning around and finding tools to help us discharge it, regulate it, it can make it so that we are not feeling as stressed. So those are our low tech options. Those are included in the handout. Okay, so we're going to move into apps, and I'm going to use Reflector for this, and it should work. I just set it up. We will start with the breathing zone and then go from there. Minimize this. Okay. So 1 second while I get this iPad up on the screen. If anyone has any questions about any of the low tech options, I am happy to answer those. So I need to get this up. Okay. Oh. Do it this way then. Okay. Okay, so you're looking at, this is the iPad. Get the reflector to work.
Can you, Kayla, stop the screen share just so everybody gets it on the big screen?
Yep. So you can see that, okay. Okay, so this is the breathing app. It's going to be a little blurry because you're not going to see it in the same way. But basically, it's a breathing app, and it's pretty straightforward. You press start, and you see here, you can kind of see the flower, and it's set for 2 minutes. You press start. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And then it goes on for that, for however many minutes you've set it. You can change the color. You can set how many breaths per minute you want. There's a few other settings, but it's a really basic, straightforward breathing app to kind of help you in the moment. We've got the next one on the list I'll go to is Tappy. Tappy is a fidget app. So you saw the Spider-Man fidget here. It's basically a digital version of that. And what you do is you get in here. One of the first things you can do is you can just tap this guy here, and you can kind of turn it into a game. It counts it, all that fun stuff. There's relaxation options, and then there's also fidget options. So, and then it makes noises. And then another thing that it does is it gives like a physical response. So it tries to emulate a fidget. It's pretty cool. It's an option if you don't have physical fidgets. It would be one option. The next one that I'll show is Mekarama. This one is more of like a game, but it is kind of, it's a puzzle. So it's kind of fun because it's allowing us to use, solve it with our puzzle, their brain. And so the idea is that you're going to help this little robot guy. And I apologize, the screen might not come off as well with the camera because the light. But you're going to move him, and you can move the screen around, but you will have the robot kind of move, and you have to solve the puzzles. And so for some kids, this can be a really nice distraction. Some kids can do well with something like this. Some kids might get frustrated. So this would be really dependent on, oh, and then he fell in the water. So the idea is that, right, we need to help him get to the exit. And see, he gets to move around. He's kind of stuck now in the water. But you have to get to the star and then the hidden stairs. And so they can use, the game is called Mekorama, Mekorama. We'll pause it here, but basically it's levels, and then it kind of continues through the levels. And it will, some students might get frustrated. Other students, I could see them, being very excited about it, it really helping them focus and taking kind of a break to work on a puzzle. So kids who maybe like Sudoku or just puzzles in general might find that app enjoyable. One other one we have, so we're going to do Smiling Mind next. And this is Smiling Mind is a meditation app. And you're going to go in and we're going to go classroom, because what I really like about Smiling Mind is there are meditations and programs specifically for classrooms to be used in the classroom. You can also, there's options for families to do family meditation, things like that, preparation stuff. So it's broken down by year. So Smiling Mind is age-wise, it's 3 to adults. So there's a really broad age range of what you need to do. One thing to note is that it's based in Canada. So grade levels are, Canadian levels, primary level, things like, and is how they describe them. But then you would go through each of the lessons. And then the first lesson is learn. It's awareness. And you press play, start, and then it's guided. So then it goes through the questions, and then you start your session. And then the meditation is this one. And then you play it, and it's guided meditation. So then you could play it and your classroom or your student or whoever students you have would play this way.
Inside you, where you're safe,
And then it
strong,
talks.
a place.
So that is those ones that are on that page. I'm going to show the web page for Forest now. We don't have Forest, but it is a very helpful productivity app if we are looking to help students stay focused on tasks and things like that. So I share my screen quick. Share. Okay, so this is Forest. The idea is that you set a focus timer, and then for however long, if you stay focused for that time and you don't pull out of stop doing the task that you set for yourself or for your child or your student, their tree will grow. And as you can see, whenever you want to stay focused, plant a tree. The tree grows while you're focused on the work. If you leave the app halfway through, the tree dies. And then you kind of turn it, and you can, down here you see you can grow your own forest. Some really cool things there. So Some people use it even for, putting phones down for meals and things like that. And then the cool thing is that the program, the app partners with real tree planting organizations. So that's working at the, so that's Forest. I don't have this one to specifically demo. So I see this question in chat regarding internet connection. So Brain FM, once you have the app downloaded, you shouldn't need internet connection. Those are all apps. So once it's downloaded, you shouldn't. But to download them, you do need internet connection. So I don't think you need to have a completely live connection. So that's the first set of apps I want to show you. And then the second set I'm excited about. So we will back to the camera. Our second set of apps, we're going to start with Sand Garden. Really excited about Sand Garden. It's pretty cool. Really straightforward, basic sand garden. So my background, new garden. Let's start a new garden. Here we go. So as you can see, you've got sand here. And then if I draw, you can see that it's making designs. So you can see that here, right? You can see it's kind of like if you had like a physical sand garden and you have the rake, you can use the rake with the physical. But as you see with my finger, it's giving us that design. And then the cool thing is we can change the designs. We can add rocks. We can add more rocks. So you can kind of make your own sand garden, your sand option designs. It's a really nice app. And then, we get a 3D version of a sand garden, which is fun, and you don't have to deal with a physical one that might get messy or might not tactilely be a student's favorite thing to interact with, but then they can use it on an iPad or a phone. Sand Garden is available in the lending library to try out. Another one I'm really excited about is fluid simulation. And it's really cool. We're gonna try. So Fluid does have a subscription and a lifetime. You can purchase a lifetime, the lifetime app as well. And that's all noted in the handout. But you don't need that necessarily to just mess around with the basic features. You just, when you first open the app, make sure to just exit out of that section when it pops up. Really cool. You just press it and make the designs. And then as you can see, the screen makes colors and then it like flows like liquid. And it's a really nice app to just kind of sit with. You can also pair it with Noisely or music or Brain FM as a intentional kind of break, or just to take a moment to focus on something else before trying to focus on another thing. And you can change, there's lots of features depending on if you pay for it or not. You can change colors, you can change how it flows. It does different things if you go really fast. It's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. And it's interactive, which can be helpful for students. The next one I'm going to show is This is Sand. This is basically like sand art, just on your iPad. So it's pretty cool. We don't need to log in. You don't need to log into this. This is another one that does have like a subscription, but you don't necessarily need to pay for it. We're going to just orient portrait mode. And then let's make it a sand color that you can see. You can change the color of your sand. And then if you can kind of see, you can see here that it's making sand And you can just design that. So I've set it to auto drop the sand. And you can change colors and it makes the noise as well. So it does feel like, you know, you're using one of those like old sand art trays that you could like tip different directions. This would be another one that you could pair with music for a break. Pretty straightforward. Make designs. Then we have Brain FM. Here, I think I've got it up. See it. We will demo Brain FM on the web, so you can see it on the web. So let me share my screen. Oh, here's that. So Brain FM costs money, but there's a 3-day trial. And then you can basically Brain FM, what it does is it takes neural audio pathways and decides and figures out which ones you like, because we don't all like the same thing. We don't all like the same sound. So someone with ADHD might need quicker pace music or frequencies to feel like they can focus. And it's broken into 3 different categories. And so for focus, we go in, if you can hear that, that's gonna play the music for everyone to sing. And then it has this timer of like how long it's gonna increase in our focus. Down here, down on the left, that's slow neural.
We actually can't hear you, Kayla.
Oh. It's because of the music. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. The music was just louder.
That makes sense. There we go. How's that? So the
It's
music
still kind of
plays.
overpowering you.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder. I think Zoom's got some interesting audio shares when you share the sound. So, well, the music will play in the background, and then you can change the neural feedback over here in the settings. And here you can see the neural effect. And then it describes what low effect, medium effect, and high effect is. And then you can also do it based on learning, creativity, and then you can add different kinds of music and nature sounds as well. So you can also do it that way. And then you would listen to it or have your students listen or your child listen while they were trying to do work. And that would hopefully allow them to not only focus, but then also kind of have some calm around doing the work, because sometimes doing the work can be kind of stressful. So that's Brain FM. We've got Noisely next, which is similar. However, it doesn't use these neural effects. What it does is you select kind of a playlist, and so we'll do productivity. Just exit it. That's. And log me out. Anyways, so Noisely, what you do is you create your own digital sound space. And so you can mix and match, listen to a playlist. You can mix and match. You'll have the sounds here. This is thunderstorm. It's many different sounds. So if you're a student or your child or you like working in a coffee shop, you can also select. You can do coffee shop. That's down here. So that's some of the options. You can put them all together. You can have multiple sounds together, and then it will help you either, be productive, work on things that you want to work on and focus, or be calm and not feel that extra stress from deadlines, homework assignments, things like that. So that's Noisely, and that is kind of wraps up our app section, which brings us to our wearables. And I will, I'm going to show the screen briefly for that, just so you can see all of the options, because I don't have everything here today, partly because one of the items is checked out at the moment from the library, and a couple of the other ones are newer items that we haven't gotten in the library yet. So Call Me Go is here at the top left. Here you've got, this is new. It's a newer thing. We don't have one yet. We will get one at some point, I'm sure. But so this is Call Me Go. I think should be how you say it. And the idea is that it looks like an inhaler. And then what happens is you use this device when you're feeling anxious, stressed, or on the edge of a panic attack. So if you or a student or your child is able to identify those moments, then you would take the inhaler, you would press the button, and you would breathe it in, and then based on your breathing patterns, it would give breath, and then it would add scents. So there's a variety of different scents. So like lavender, which can be a calming option, those types of things. And so there's this one. So that is how that works. We've got Sensate. Sensate is a newer one as well, one we don't have yet. This one helps individuals calm using kind of vibrations, those types of chest resonance is what they call it. You set it on your chest. You see here, she's got this, what looks like a stone, and then you set it on your chest, and then it uses infrasonic sound to vibrate, and then it's going to engage the vagus nerve, which will help your body's nervous system and the individual's nervous system. And we've got our next one is a Tony's, and this one is for younger children, but it's a really interactive way for them to kind of decompress from their day. So I mentioned, having positive things for children to look forward to in terms of a stressful school day. And this can be a really great option for that. It's a box. You see, he's playing it with it. We don't have this in the office yet either. And then you add a little figure. You can add a figure. You see, this is like a Dalmatian. There's many different options. My Little Pony, things like that. And then they tell stories. It'll tell them a story. It'll sing to them. So it's a really great non-digital play experience, imagination. Gives them a positive interaction. So that's Tony's. Got next one we're going to look at. I'm going to show you Loop, because that is one we don't have yet either. Loop. Here you can see their earplugs. And here you see that she's got this little teal thing in her ear. That is the earplug. And you can do what I kind of like is it'll help you choose. It'll ask you questions, right? Like, why am I looking for it? Maybe noise sensitivity, right? So something that can cause students stress in school is noise, right? And noise sensitivity, and just the noise of just school. Schools can be loud and have different variations of sounds happening, and that can be hard for kids. So we'll select that, and then from there you can decide how much noise reduction do we need. And let's go with 27, and we'll see. Just show me the results. And then it'll give you a recommendation. So the quiet loops, these ones are intended to help with sleep. They reduce as far as you can reduce down and try to like muffle all of that background noise. There are other loop products that you might have seen the one that said parents on it. there are ones that will take out some of that really not great noise frequency, but then still allow you to hear so that you can still know what's going on without having all that extra noise in the background. So those are the ones that we don't yet have. Now I'm gonna do some demo for you. The other ones. Stop my screen share. We're going to talk about Touchpoints next. I'm going to pull up the app. There is an app, and then I'll show you the devices as well. Touchpoints, what they do, they operate on bilateral stimulation. I see your question, Andrea. And Andrea asks, are the loops sized for different people? Yes, so you can buy additional ear tips. They go down to extra small. So I don't know what the sizing is, but they do have options. And then something to note about the accessories for the loop. If you purchase the experience option, you can also get the loop mute, which drops the experience earplugs. You can then it'll take out even more sound. It's not necessarily clear if that is totally like if it takes it all the way further than the quiets, or if the quiets is as low as it goes in terms of sound, keeping sound out. So touchpoints use, as I was saying, touchpoints use bilateral stimulation. Bilateral stimulation means that your left and right side of your body are being stimulated at different times. And so basically what that means is you're going to wear, your student, your child will wear these. You can attach them to backpacks. You can put them in pockets. As you can see, you can also wear them as if they were a watch. Down here, you'll see the app. It comes with an app. The Touchpoints Originals come with an app. I have it opened up right now to the, are you ready to take the Touchpoints challenge? It's going to ask you. And so it says on a scale of 1 to 10, or on a scale of 0 to 10, how upset do you feel now when you think about this situation? And it's asking you to think about an upsetting situation. I'm going to go with a 10. Just because it'll rate us. And then it's going to ask you, if you don't feel any body sensations, just tap 0. Let's say my body sensations are pretty high. So then what we're going to do is we'll tap OK to begin. And you can't hear it, you can't see it, but they are vibrating. And because I rated it higher, it set our frequency a little bit higher. So the vibrations and the intensity is pretty quick. And so the idea is that as you're wearing them, as you're holding them, you focus on the stimulation, and you think about happier thoughts, you think about positive thoughts, and it helps you calm, and it helps your body calm. And this is a really great practice because you can do it at any time. You can, and then as you start to notice when you or your student, or even when you are noticing your child or your student getting upset, it can help them start to recognize it in their body before it happens, which can be really helpful in stopping those big moments where stress gets the better of us. And then the other option, the other wearable that I was going to talk about today was the noise canceling headphones. Noise canceling headphones, true noise canceling headphones will kind of, in a way similar to earplugs, will block out sound. And so one way you can do that is these are AirPod Pros. AirPod Pros, you can put them in your ear, and then you have their specific settings for the AirPods. And so the settings you can do, you take them out, they're just little earpods. You can get them noise canceling headphones. You can get over the ear, on the ear, or like the earpods. And then you would go into your settings, and you can set it. There's multiple settings now at this point. You can have full noise canceling, basically what that means is it's blocking out all the sound, and so that you can't really hear anything else around you, which can be really helpful, can be really nice. It can really help with focus. I use them a lot at work when I'm listening to music and things like that, so I can try to focus, so I'm not as easily distracted. You can also set it to transparent so that you still hear what your headphones are saying to you, or music, but then you can hear what's happening as well. Or you can just have all of it off and then they just operate like regular headphones. So that's noise canceling headphones. There's some really cool options out there now. So okay. Okay. So that brings us to the end of the presentation today. Really happy you all joined. If there's any questions, I'm happy to take those questions now. I did not go too heavily into how to plan for doing homework and things of that nature, mostly because we do have executive functioning workshops coming up next year. So I'm happy to take questions. If you would like the survey, you can you take the survey. If you want the certificate, you need to take the survey. One thing I forgot to note here is that you only will get the certificate if you attended in person in today, the live workshop. You can scan the QR code and it'll take you right to the survey. Thank you for joining us, everyone. And then here's our upcoming workshops. November 16th, we have our first, our part 1 of assistive technology for students with dyslexia. My colleague Sarah will be presenting on that. It should be pretty great. November 30th, we have alternative access for Apple devices. And then we have part 2 of dyslexia for dyslexia assistive technology for students, December 7th. That'll be part 2. And then December 13th, we have assistive technology supports for writing. Those all should be have registration up. I do see the question. I'm gonna, let's see. Okay, and we have calming. Okay, so suggestions in the chat, there's a suggestion about kind of calming down at night. So something that might be helpful in terms of a nighttime routine is to give give more prompts of like, okay, you know, and so in so many minutes, we're going to be transitioning to this and then offering a transition activity. So what would be a calming activity for your child? Is it reading? Is it listening to a song? Is it listening to meditation? Is it listening to parents reading a story? Could also be an option. Yep, so you'll receive, in the chat, there was a question about the QR code and the survey. The survey will get posted. It'll show up. So the link was posted again. Thanks, Paul. And then there will also be a follow-up email sent out tomorrow that will have all of the information as well. Thank you all for attending. If there's, I'm happy to answer any questions with the time we have left. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for attending. Thank you. Have a great day and thank you for attending.